everyone, it's Rosie from Talking About BPD. I hope everyone's doing okay. So today I thought I'd do a video which addresses the stigma around BPD and also talks about my career and what I do by day, because I don't do talking about BPD all the time. I do it on my weekends, my evenings, or my holidays and things like that. So unfortunately, BPD, borderline personality disorder, is one of the most stigmatised mental health conditions, and in fact quite a lot of people have referred to it as the most stigmatised mental health condition that there is. And so obviously that being a person with this diagnosis, it can be really challenging. A lot of people are scared to talk about it, and for very good reason, because discrimination sadly does still exist quite a lot. However, I refuse to be constantly embarrassed about my diagnosis. Over the years, I've decided that actually it can be a bit of a badge of honour for me. Like, as ashamed and even disgusted with myself as I have felt in the past, right now I guess I do feel a bit like it's a badge of honour to show that I have survived so much rubbish from other people, and I have survived so many judgments and so many difficult things, and here I am. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about my career, to share with you what I do during the day, and yeah, a bit about the person that I am at work, because a lot of the time I do feel quite scared that I'll be discriminated against or judged in the workplace, and it has been a really big kind of worry for me, and it still is a worry for me as well. So I will fast forward around 6-7 years, and I was at university, and I was lucky enough to go to university, and I actually went to Cambridge University. I'm from a very middle class family, had a very kind of middle class upbringing, and I really wanted to go to Cambridge University, and I actually got in, and I did an English degree there, so studied a lot of poetry, novels, plays, you name it, and it was a very upper middle class even educational establishment, and it still is. So I did that degree, and then following that I had decided that I wanted to work with children. I had a lot of mental health problems throughout my degree, throughout my teenage years, as I've written about a lot on my blog and in my videos, and I knew that working with children was something that was a good fit for me, enjoyable for me, felt worthwhile and useful with my time. So I was a teaching assistant in a mainstream primary school, so not a school specifically for children with special needs, which is the word that the educational system in the UK uses for children with like additional needs or learning disabilities or learning difficulties. So yeah, I was a teaching assistant there, and I mostly supported children with difficulties with their speech and language, or children who were autistic, on the autistic spectrum, autism spectrum disorder, children with sensory difficulties, who else? Yeah, or just children who had kind of a hard time in school understanding things. So basically I was trying to adapt to their needs and kind of support them in the classroom to make sure they were happy, make sure they were achieving to the highest of their ability. And I really loved that job, and I did that for a year, and then I trained as a teacher. It wasn't my plan to train as a teacher. I was just having a really good time in the school, and it seemed like a good fit for me. However, in the back of my mind, it had always been there that I wanted to work specifically with children with special needs, in a role like a educational psychology role, so in a more kind of psychology focused rather than an educational role per se. However, I did the teacher training and I absolutely loved it. and I was then a teacher, a fully trained teacher, and then I did a master's degree actually in a subject called medical humanities, which is an incredible subject. Basically, it's a very, very broad subject. It involves history of medicine, it can involve medical ethics, it can involve illness rating, disability studies, literature about medicine, literature about health. It can look at films, internet culture, you name it. Medical humanities can examine it, so long as it's to do with health, illness or disability, in culture, art, music, literature, video games, whatever, you name it. Medical humanities is open to exploring that and examining that. So I did a lot of research on mental illness writing and mental health writing, specifically writing that was self-published or published through non-traditional means, for example zines or blogs or self-published books. So that was fascinating to me. I also learned about disability studies, autism, and yeah, I absolutely loved that. It was really, really amazing. Following that, I was working part-time while studying as well as a teacher. Following that, I decided to go and have a year working in a charity, not as a charity, not as a volunteer, but as a paid employee. And yeah, so I was in the third sector and I was working in a charity for people with, I guess, I don't want to identify the charity, I guess it has health and disability and discrimination focus, yeah. And I was in their support services, really, managing the volunteers, taking calls, signposting people, helping to design training programs and things like that. And I really, really did not like it. I was really, really unhappy there. I absolutely hated being behind a desk, and I really did not like my time there at all. So following that, I went to become a special needs teacher in a special school, which has been really, really wonderful actually. And yeah, so I have a class of 10 children, mostly with autism, who have significant needs around their communication. So a lot of it is finding ways to help them express themselves and request things and learn about the world and learn about themselves and how to express themselves and ask for things. So I really, really love that role. And yeah, so that's just been a temporary job, and obviously the coronavirus has had a massive impact on everything to do with teaching and education. And from September I'm going to be a specialist teacher, an SEN teacher, so special education teacher, but in a mainstream school, so a school for children who don't necessarily have special educational needs. However, there are lots of children with special educational needs in mainstream schools, so my job is to help those children and help the teachers and staff there to make sure that they're doing as much as they can in the right kind of ways for all of those children, so that everyone is accommodated and celebrated and supported, so that everybody can get the best educational outcomes and have really, really good wellbeing, hopefully. So yeah, so that's a bit about me. I've also been a helpline volunteer for a very well-known charity where I was taking calls and doing, I guess, counselling, volunteer counselling, and I mentored some new volunteers as well. So yeah, so that's just a little bit about my career. So as you can see, it's been a lot of like children and people focus, and that's something that's part of who I am. That's where I want to be doing things and spending my time. I don't want to be spreadsheets and, I don't know, analysing graphs or, programming computers, or I have nothing but respect for people who can do that, and it's obviously really important. But for me, I don't know, maybe I'm too much of a chatterbox or something, but I do like to connect with people and chat and kind of try and see things from different perspectives. I find that really fun and really just that kind of challenging emotionally and intellectually, and it keeps me happy and it keeps me engaged and enjoying things really. So yeah, the myth that people with BPD can't do people-focused jobs or helping jobs and care jobs is ridiculous. And in fact, I think my BPD has been a big strength for me. Helps me connect with people, empathise, it gives me an understanding of trying to navigate mental health and social care systems, because that in itself is incredibly hard. Yeah, so I'd love to know what you think, if you've got maybe an aspiration to work with people in a voluntary capacity or in a paid capacity. I'd love to know your thoughts, and if you think BPD's helped you and given you any strengths in that as well. Obviously not everyone with BPD can work, and I know that I'm one of the people who can, and that's the right decision for me. It's not the right thing for everybody. So yeah, I'd love to know your thoughts. Thank you. Bye.